What's up, guys? Welcome to the Athletic Aesthetic Podcast, where art and sports connect through conversation. My name is Vinny, and I'm your host. This is episode 3, and I'm really excited to have an awesome guest on today's episode. Before we get to that, though, I want to thank you for listening to this. I know through episodes 1 and 2, we've had some issues with technical difficulty with microphones, all that stuff. This is a whole learning curve with this podcast, but I appreciate you guys. If you're listening, you made it through the first 2 episodes. I think we have it figured out. We've already recorded episode 3 as I record this intro, and it sounds amazing. So I can't wait for you guys to hear this interview with my guest today, who is Zack. If you're familiar, you may have seen him on Instagram at It's Bald Boy, and I've been sharing him a lot on my page as well. He's a sneaker customizer. He's also here in Pittsburgh. He lives right outside of the city. And I'm pumped that I was able to connect with him a few weeks ago, and now he's on the podcast. And now, I feel like he's going to be a regular on this podcast because our conversation was it's about 50 minutes long, but I think we could have talked for another 3 hours. We just had so much, to say, and it was a fun conversation for me to have. So I'm really excited for you guys to take a listen. For this episode, we get into a little bit of just the backstory of, custom shoes. And so, I feel like a lot of people are kind of learning about them now as they become more mainstream. You see them on your feed, you see with TikTok and, all these artists that do very, popular designs that you see over and over and over, but it's becoming more mainstream, and it's a hobby that you could literally start at a beginner level and just do it for fun. And so that's an amazing thing. We talk about that from the spectrum of the hobby sneaker customizer all the way to the person who's trying to create a brand to something a little different. Zack is really building something very unique within the sneaker customization community. And if you go to his page, you'll see exactly what I mean. We get into a little bit in our conversation, talk about life, talk about, what inspires us, what makes us, want to keep creating, all that kind of stuff. It's such a fun conversation. So, not going to take up too much more time with this intro, but before I do send it to the theme song and the roll in and all that stuff, I want to thank you for being here, because without your support, this podcast doesn't really make sense. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of time. It's a lot of energy. It's a lot of fun, and I really enjoy doing it. I want to keep doing it. So if you find value in this podcast, please, whether you listen to this on Spotify, iTunes, or wherever you get this, please rate and review the podcast. That's what bumps this up in the algorithm. It's what, puts it on other people's feeds for them to see. Without any rates and reviews, it's not even really popping up when people search for Athletic Aesthetics. So please, if you have a second, please do that. I really appreciate it. If you watch this on YouTube, this is a very visual podcast. So if you do listen, welcome. I'm glad you're here. If you watch this on YouTube, please make sure that you're subscribed. Leave a comment below. Just say hello, say where you're watching from. Tell me what your favorite part is. Comment on, me and Zack and how goofy we look, and whatever you want to say. Just leave a comment, do something to engage with it, and then share this to your Facebook, to your Instagram, whatever you want to do. Give us a shout out, and we'll definitely share that on our page as well. So without further ado, let's get to the episode. This is episode 3 of Athletic Aesthetic Podcast. Let's get it. All right, guys, so before we get into the interview with Zack, shout out to our sponsors, Candelor's Barking Beauties. Candelor's Barking Beauties is local here to the Pittsburgh area, so if you are in Pittsburgh or anywhere around, I'm sure you can find a location close to you. They have 5 full-service grooming salons. No appointments are needed, and they're open Tuesday through Saturday from 8 to 6. Boarding and daycare is available also at their Irwin location. You can call 412-872-5550 or visit us at CandelorsBarkingBeauties.com, where our salon is your salon. Now, let's get into the episode.
I don't know if I can do that, dude.
Yeah.
That's a lot of pressure on me.
You're already more interesting than my first guest.
It was Cody, right?
It was Cody.
Yeah, it was definitely Cody.
But yeah, so I mean, we there's no real intro to this or whatever.
Okay.
Are you done with your coffee now?
No.
You're not?
Don't touch my coffee, dude.
You've already peed like 4 times.
I know, but the reason, it's a good reason. It's because I'm worried we're gonna get locked into like a 3-hour conversation, and then I'm just gonna get an hour and a half in and like feel like shit that I didn't pee right beforehand. You know?
Yeah.
So
we do tend to talk a lot, huh? When like you come here and then like I think what was the first time you came here to the studio?
It was it like a month ago, I think? Like,
yeah, it's probably a little over a month ago. Because I remember I reached out to you. We've been planning it for a while, but you said you were like sick or something when we were initially going to do it, and then you came down. And I remember you were like, "Yeah, I got a meeting at like, or you had to be somewhere. I think you just wanted to like put something on the books just in case you were like, I gotta get out of here.
Yeah,
like, you know what I mean? But because then we like started. Then we started talking, and you realized, okay, these guys aren't terrible people. So
yeah, right.
But you hung out for like 3 hours that day, and we were just talking about life. And we were talking about like art, and why you do what you do, and all this stuff. So
yeah, dude, that day was like huge for me because I mean I told you before, like I never talked to anybody in the city really. Like I have some connections just from people that I've known throughout the years, so like some really lowbrow like musicians, like a streetwear brand from a guy named Brandon Moon who is hippie at heart. So like I know that he does some clothes around the city and like, which is great, but those are really like the only 2 people other than close friends that like I even knew that did anything creative. So whenever you reached out to me on Instagram, then like I was like, this is fucking sweet. Like, like I finally not only do I get to meet people from the city that like are doing a similar thing, but also like you do something so different in customs that like I mean I'm pretty blunt whenever I talk to, so I'm like I want to understand where this guy's head is at, you know. So like it was cool. So like coming here,
when you say you talk to me pretty blunt. Yeah. What you mean is you told me, I don't really like your work. I like you.
I mean, yeah. Admittedly, in my head, I was thinking low-key dog shit. But that being said, like, I don't actually think the work is dog shit. It's because, like...
Please elaborate. Yeah. So far, this doesn't sound good at all.
Yeah, okay, so, all right. Yeah.
Give me something.
Okay, so...
Like I gotta like be able to go home and be like, all right, I'm an okay person.
Yeah, not cry to your wife. Yeah.
Which I'll do that anyways. But
that's fair. So like what I mean is like I've been involved in customs for so long now at this point that like not comparatively, like customs been around for 20 plus years, but like I've been doing it and like understanding it for like 11 years at least. So I've been seeing essentially like what you do forever, like since I started getting involved in it, because like that's how it really started to get big, was like it was pretty underground, and then people like Mosh and Kickasso would start making customs for like NFL players. Kickasso was doing a lot of gloves, like so then for so long all I saw was like either like NBA players, NFL players, like Mosh did WWE superstars, like, but it was just like branding all the time. And so after that phase kind of left and it moved towards like more trendy Gucci and Louis Vuitton type stuff, then I mean honestly I was like good riddance, because like I was so tired of seeing it. But like, so that's why whenever I found out you were in Pittsburgh, I was like, come on bro, I was like, why does he have to do this?
Well, how did you find out I was in Pittsburgh? Was it because I reached out to you? Because I found out when you were on, shout out Jake Polino with One of One, you were on the episode, I think right before me.
Yeah.
And I think he mentioned on there, you were like, yeah, I'm from Pittsburgh. And I was like, what? Like, because I had been following you. And then I was like, there's no way this, because, and we joke, like, I know you were like, yeah, like our work is so opposite. And so like, I remember the first time I saw some of your stuff, I was like, what is even happening here? Like, because to me, like what I do with my work is totally different than what you're trying to accomplish with what you're designing. And like, it's really crazy to think that we're in the same city and we have like the same niche, but we are in 2 separate worlds when it comes to like what we create.
And that's what I was gonna say. So that was, you let me get all of me shitting on you out, but didn't let me actually wrap it up in a nice way. So I'm gonna go back a little bit. Talk your shit. Keep going. So
listen, okay, I had Cody on episode. I gotta just start inviting people on this podcast that actually like think that I'm a decent artist at some point. Like,
Dude,
I just
do.
invite guests on that just tell me I'm trash.
Hold on, let me wrap this up in a nice way because I really was going to. I have so much respect because Dylan does the same thing. De Jesus Customs, like straight up the same exact thing. Where like a lot of branding work, a lot of like. It takes a certain person to be able to do that, and I can't do that. I have tried, and I don't do it well. So I have so much respect for like your work and Dylan's work and anybody that does branding like that, because it's also hard to work with people, like just in general. I can just make whatever the fuck I want and then just post it and be like, if you like it, buy it.
There's a lot of freedom in that.
Yeah, exactly. And so I have a lot of appreciation and respect for what you do. It was because of the history of it that I was like, come on, dude.
So you think you kind of initially lumped me in with that like mainstream when, so like to rewind a little bit, you've been customizing almost or as long as I have. And a lot of people don't know that I've been customizing as long as I have because I just recently really went hard into it. Like since like 2020, 2019. But my first pair of NFL customs were in 2015, I believe.
Oh,
and
yeah.
So like I've been around for a long time, but I fell off with posting because like I bounced around. Like I had like 3 different Instagrams at the start. Like first it was my personal, then I created one called Candle or Customs, posted on that for like 5 years, realized that I already had like this established audience on my page that was called Uni Edits. And I was like, this is kind of the people that I'm trying to connect with because they were a sports crowd.
Oh, I see.
So I was like, why am I like trying to do all this work and build a Candle or Customs page, and I'm trying to keep up with these like concept uniforms that I'm not doing as much, and I'm letting this audience that I've already established just kind of sit there. So I was like, I need to just merge, and that's when I became VC2 Art. So I changed Uni Edits to VC2 Art and just started building that brand. Well, so a lot of people think I started customizing when that VC2 Art brand became a thing.
Right.
Does that make sense? Like they thought that's when I started customizing, but there
Totally
was
get
this
that.
whole log of work that if you go back, that Candle or Customs page is still there, but there's just, which I brought a pair of shoes that I want to show because so we got together on Tuesday and we had a meeting. If you guys hear someone in the background, this is my boy Kroll. He's the producer of the show, and I don't know if he doesn't have a mic right now. We're working on getting him a third mic in here,
but you can still hear me.
Won't
he's
be
still
silence.
a presence here. But yeah, so he's been instrumental in helping me get this podcast as well as his brother Clay. So shout out to the Hounds. Go follow them, Hounds USA on Instagram and social media. Yeah, got you, bro. I need a discount next month for the shout out though. You're an official sponsor
I'm expecting
now.
my package as well.
I'm gonna tell Clay you approved it.
I'll tell Clay you approved.
Charge you more for that.
Clay sends me.
Say my name.
Yeah.
Don't say our brand. Don't say our name.
He's like, I don't want you to announce that we work with you.
Yeah.
We're a silent.
The
party.
Hounds are very underground, if you know one thing about them.
We're us, Zack, Cody. Let's just say we all kind of hate you.
Jeez, bro. What is going? What is
this? Is this is backlash because I got so much shit on my live yesterday, dude. That I have so much built up like angst and anger, and it's all going on you right now.
Why did you get?
Oh, like, it was good shit. It was just like friends giving me shit for just random crap, you know.
I thought you meant people were like talking shit on like your work.
Oh no. Oh, but that reminds me though. So I realized something like as we were talking too, that like I think also whenever you reached out. Because I remember you reached out to me first and just like pretty much saying, hey, and then you like my work and you're like, I'm in Pittsburgh. I was like, oh, cool. And then I remember I didn't like it didn't go anywhere from there. And then it wasn't until after like meeting with Jake on Complex,
right.
Then I think I reached out and I said, oh, like, hey, like we should actually meet up. Mm-hmm. So I think that's how it went. It may have been flipped, like the roles of it, but that was like the gist of it.
Yeah.
And I remember at the time, I think why I didn't appreciate your work is because I had such an agenda of bringing customs to something that they weren't. And I still do, but like at the time especially, I was like so tired of seeing the route that customs had gone and like the stagnation of it. And
for like the average non-sneakerhead custom shoe audience that's like, if it's just like can you elaborate on that a little bit? I know what you mean, but like what do you mean by how it went stagnant or whatever?
Oh, okay, yeah. So essentially, like, right, when customs first started out, it was very exciting. A lot of people like completely disregarded it and considered it like fake, and people were like making fake, kind of like the same way that people who paint Gucci stuff on like non-Gucci bags, they think it's fake. It was kind of the same thing. Like, oh, these people are like desecrating fire reds, right?
Yeah.
And I haven't talked to any of the like OGs other than Mosh much, and we haven't had a conversation about it a whole lot. But just from what I understand, then that was the case. But then after that, whenever it started to pick up, it was incredibly exciting. Where like we were seeing, it was kind of the same idea as like the banned Jordan 1s, where before like NBA players were allowed to wear the shoes that they want to wear, that they had to follow a certain dress code. It was kind of the same thing in like the NFL, where they didn't want people wearing custom cleats like at all, right? So it was this exciting thing where like all these players people were seeing with these new cleats, and they were like debating giving them fines, and it was just crazy.
Well, it blurs the line a lot with like copyright, and so I think with these, a lot of the leagues were like very timid, and like players and people with brand deals and stuff, they were like, like, how much do we want to fully back this?
Exactly.
For fear of like future backlash. And even like people that were in it were like, I remember being like, people would be like, hey, can you even do this? And I'd be like, I don't know. This guy gave me a pair of cleats, so I'm gonna pay him. Like,
it's still kind of the same way now too.
Right? Yeah, it really is. Were you around? Like, do you remember the whole like make the swoosh pop like?
Oh
thing
yes,
that, like went around.
Yes,
it was
dude.
Like you had to like Nike wrote a memo to people and was like, hey, like you can do customs, but you have to make the swoosh a prominent part of the design.
Which is crazy now. Like looking back, because now they almost are just contradicting themselves, because like that swoosh is often like what gets people in trouble with things too.
Is it swoosh or swoosh?
Oh fuck, dude! I don't. What did I say?
So you say swoosh, and I've heard Dylan says swoosh too, and it's always drove me crazy because I say swoosh, but then I looked it up, and I think it's pronounced swoosh, but
I don't.
I think
What do you think?
It's like a tomato thing. You can say. I usually say swoosh, but I think it's.
You're one of those guys. You strike me as a swoosh type of guy, dude. You look like a swoosh guy.
Why? What? Swoosh guys are elite.
The underground, dude.
Listen, you told me you hate me, and now you're on my team because we say swoosh
together.
together.
I'm not on your team.
Yeah, don't get things twisted, bro. Yeah,
No.
Yeah, he's got
say swoosh, but you're fake. You don't really.
You're fake.
You're not one of the elite guys.
You're not one of them, bro.
No.
But wait. So I don't get off track, because like things went from like bootleg idea to like very exciting and new, and then slowly as custom started to catch on more, people realized that it could be a way of like just making money and hitting trends with really simple designs.
Yeah.
So it started seeing like a lot of Gucci customs, a lot of Burberry customs, a lot of people sewing fabric on because it was just so fast, and like turnaround was insane. You could sell a pair for like $250 and you could do 30, 40, 50. I don't even know how many people were doing it in a week, but like make a great living doing it.
Right.
So there was nobody pushing. I shouldn't say nobody. There was nobody in the mainstream pushing customs at that point to not be that.
Because it takes time to do what you do.
Right.
And social media is such a world of now. Like I need to post something now and tomorrow and the next day and maybe multiple times a day. And it's like doing Louis V customs and like all these things are things you can knock out in a few hours. So you can keep up with the demand, and as you keep up with the demand of your audience, you grow. Whereas, you got artists like you who are like really putting in the work and like have well thought out products. At the end, it's like people are like, oh shit, I forgot you existed. And I don't mean that in a negative way. It's just because they see this same artist posting the same stuff and it looks cool and clean. So they're like, engaged with their stuff. Whereas when, you got a longer process of the creation process for something like you make, it's like, you're not in their face every single day. So
truth. Or at least it takes, you can be, but it takes like much more effort. It's not, you're 100% right. But it's like, that's a whole other thing we could get into, is like that's part of the reason I went into 3D work as well. And like, because introducing a digital side of things gives you the ability, when you don't have a finished shoe or you don't have a finished video, to like post things if you can get good at it.
Yeah. And what I'm referring to is like, when this all first started. Right?
Oh, right. Okay.
So like,
I see.
Back in
Yeah.
2014, 2015, 2013, whatever it is.
Absolutely.
Like the whole 3D element wasn't even a part of any of this. So like if you weren't pumping out work every other day, you became irrelevant fast, no matter how
Facts.
cool what you were making was.
Facts.
And that was even before like the whole like reels were a thing. It was like literally posting photos to Instagram was the only way to really. Could you post videos at the beginning stages of Instagram?
I don't think so, right?
It was straight up
Yeah.
photos and-
So like there was no like
That's a good
behind
point,
the scene. Like you had to have a finished product and a great photo to like really like
Yeah.
get your stuff going forward. So like
That's true.
it's a whole different dynamic in like what you're trying to do now. And I think that you're actually setting yourself up to like be ahead of the curve as things start moving more towards like virtual reality and like, metaverse, NFTs, all that kind of stuff. And I know
Right.
we've briefly talked about that, and you have some really cool projects that you're working on, which
Thank you.
I won't tease out too much because I know like I every time I'm like with him, I'm like, he like shows me something and I'm like, can I show people this? Or like are you like,
Soon.
how secret is this?
Honestly, we can talk about it. I was thinking about this before this, but we can totally talk about it because I think it'd be exciting for people to hear. And it's to the point where like things are getting shipped out now, so we can. But just to put a cap on what you're talking about, like,
Yeah.
You're 100% right. Where I went through that era where you had to post all the time, and it was all about turnaround. It was all about making money, and it really incentivized against being creative and pushing the industry at all. So this is all relating back to stagnation, because that's exactly what I mean, where like it was that era. It felt like customs had its time to be that branding time, and then it had its time to be that almost like cheap knockoff time. Like, I know that's a bad way to say it, and I know people are gonna hate me for saying that, but like,
I mean, it kind of is what it is.
yeah, it's
I
like
mean,
fast
even
turnaround.
me as like an artist that I've never done a Louis V custom, so I will have that in my, like, I know I've done like some more, some of the designs that are like I just for the first time I did like one of those cartoon Air Force Ones.
Yeah.
And like I've seen those for years. I mean, I think it's such a cool design, and it's now become like a, something everyone has seen it, I feel like.
Yeah.
But like, if a person's willing to pay you to do it, and like that person also, though, I will say I took that order before I even knew what the person wanted, because it was Benny Snell for the Steelers.
Oh, so
And-
you're like, okay.
But he gave me a pair of cleats, and I did a pair of cleats for him, and he was like, while I was picking them up, he was like, I also got these Forces. I don't know what I want you to do to them yet, but will you take them? And I was like, yeah, sure. And then he was like, this is what I want. And I wasn't, what are you supposed to say? No. Like,
Yeah.
am I going to not custom? But I actually like was like, and I would never say that it's like a dumb design, but it's something that's been out there for a while. So I was like, this isn't going to like fit in like my brand or whatever, but I was like, this is fun, and I made like a cool YouTube video for it, so
Yeah.
that ended up working out, and Benny Snell's a dope guy to work with, so I
Yeah.
was like, this is a win-win. But
No, I mean,
so yeah, I think that like where you're headed is in what the future of customs is going to be. And I think if you kind of like pioneer this, I think you're really setting yourself up to be that kind of person, which is really funny because like you're going to kind of go from being the person that like didn't have a lot of content at the beginning because you were like well thought out, all this stuff, and like the like early artists that could pump out more work because they had like done like, easier stuff. Now when we move into like metaverse, 3D, all this type stuff,
Right.
you're going to be the guy that's got endless content because you've been
Right,
doing
yeah.
it for years, and all of us idiots are just going to be like, like what do we do now? Like,
Yeah.
hey guys, I painted this shoe. Like everyone's gonna be like, yeah, we don't care. Zach's shoes on my feet virtually. Like, like I can look at this picture of yours, but guess what? I'm like literally wearing this pair that Zach designed. And I bought them in like this virtual shoe store.
that'd be the
Yeah.
day. Like, that'd be sick. But
It's coming, bro.
well, I honestly, like, I've changed a little bit too, because like I definitely, admittedly, like I said, when we first met, I was like, listen, I get that, like, I'm trying to be respectful of everybody, and like I don't want to shit on anybody's business, and if that's what people enjoy, ultimately
Right.
that's what I hope they do.
Yeah, that's the bottom line. Is if you really like, because that's like when you say like about my work, like I like it has to do with like why you're doing it too. So like,
yes, yeah,
if
exactly.
you genuinely are like, this is like so much fun, and I'm making money doing this, and there is absolutely nothing wrong,
nothing
with
at all.
Any
Yeah.
of that, like everyone's welcome in this community.
I couldn't agree more, bro.
So-
And like that, I didn't used to have that mentality, especially when I first started back 2 years ago. But I totally agree. We're like, and that's what I want to reiterate. And this is hard for me to like communicate, and that's why I like that we can talk about this, because I am very passionate about where I think customs can be. And so that's what I'm going to talk about, because it's not there. But like, I hope people understand that there's like an underlying respect for the people that like laid the groundwork for this. And I still regularly talk to those people, like
Right.
yourself, like Dylan, like a lot of the OG customizers that aren't even around anymore.
Right.
Like I have great respect for. And people that are still doing like brand work, people that are still doing, you know, Louis V and stuff like that. Do it. If you like it, just please fucking do it.
Yeah.
Like, that's all I care about. I just want to make sure the people that don't feel like they can properly express their creative, like, aspirations through customs right now, I'm trying to make that lane.
Yeah.
I can't, so I don't have, like, it sounds so bad, but I don't have time to talk about, like, and reiterate to people all the time, like, yeah, this is like, you know, what I think, but just know that, like, I don't want to offend anybody, like, everything is cool.
Yeah.
I hope that's like an underlying thing. You know what I
I don't think
mean?
it's like you're like speaking down to people. I think you're trying to like pull people with you.
Exactly.
And
yeah.
that's like the vibe I get when I talk to you. It's not like you're like, you know, my work is at a level and I'm not going to compromise that for like a quick buck.
Right.
And if you do that, you're trash. That's not what I get from you. What I get from you is like, hey, you're actually doing this basic level entry stuff at a high level here. Like, follow me to this new, like, you know, level that you could be at, this new like way of thinking about customs.
Right.
And it really is like a shift mentally from just making money through doing it, which again is totally fine.
Absolutely.
Because I've done it.
Absolutely,
And
bro.
so,
I have
like,
too, 100%.
you know,
I brought pairs that I've done it for, just so I could prove that, like, I get it. I did.
Can I see some of them? You want to get into that now?
Sure, yeah.
Let me. So we actually, I kind of brought this up like earlier when I introduced you, but we met on Tuesday this week, and we got some like fun things. We're gonna like collab with the Hounds and like do some cool events or something. We're like in the very beginning stage of like what we're gonna bring to Pittsburgh, but we're definitely gonna like do something really cool in the city when it comes to custom shoes and just like the art scene in general and creatives.
Absolutely.
So if you're listening to this, stay tuned because we got some really fun things planned. But I was able to come by your house where you have your home studio and you showed me some of these. So I was like, dude, when we record, you have to bring these. So that's, I'm pumped. So good. What do you got for us?
Okay. So I want to do a quick walkthrough of like bald boy history, right? So like I said that I started doing customs back in high school. So it's been like 10 years now, 9 years. And, so that's whenever I just first started. I was following them for a couple years before that. But the first custom I ever did, I can't remember if it was this pair I brought or another pair, but this is so fucking funny. I'm so happy I still have this. I actually gave it to my brother. But like,
I don't think I saw these the other day.
Dude, this pair. So I played soccer and like loved soccer. Yeah, absolutely. And so whenever I was doing customs, I was like, man, what do I want to do? And I was like, well, the shoe is red and white and it had a little bit of blue on it. So I was like, that reminds me of England. And who do I like from England? David Beckham. So I went to fucking Michael's and got some Createx paints.
Yeah.
And I was like, I didn't even have like the confidence to actually do portraiture on it. So I literally just like stenciled out an image of it and put it on there. And that's what this is. So I love it so much just because of the history of it. But looking at it, I'm just like, this is just like, it's like the perfect origin piece, you know? It's like everything wrong, you know? And I love that.
It is.
So this is like the first pair I ever did. And so this was like lots of history to me. And then the first pair that I ever did that got picked up is this pair of Gearbox Jordan 5s. And so I love gaming. Always have been a big gamer.
You still do?
Absolutely. Yeah. I don't play as much anymore because I feel bad when I play. I feel like I should be working. But like it sucks. I know it feels bad, man, but like it is the reality.
No,
so like now I follow esports all the time though. I watch like all esports, League of Legends, Rocket League, CS:GO, everything.
I don't know anything you just said.
Oh well. Wait, do you know what I'm talking about?
I know of it. I don't keep up.
Okay, we'll move on. We'll move on.
You could have just made up words, and I'd have been like, "Yeah, it's cool games."
Somebody out there's gonna know. Somebody knows.
No,
100%.
I fully yeah.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure that everyone understands that like my lack of response is not because literally don't know
You don't
what
care.
words you just said.
Yeah, they're all just different video games. But so Gearbox made a game called Borderlands 2, and it was my favorite game of all time. So I did an homage to it this pair.
Okay.
And this is to this day like probably the most sentimental pair I have because it was the first pair I did. I posted on Twitter. And Gearbox retweeted and said it was the best pair of shoes they've ever seen. And as my as a kid, like a teenager, that was just fucking everything.
Yeah.
Like, and I spent.
I mean, these got a lot of detail in them, and you could tell these are all hand painted, right?
Oh yeah, yep.
You weren't airbrushing at this point.
I think I airbrushed the yellow actually.
This part?
Yep.
Oh, really? Yeah,
I
it
think that's
definitely
it.
has a smooth factory finish on the yellow.
Yeah.
But I mean, all the details, like even this fade from like the red to blue looks like brushwork.
That is, yeah.
Yeah.
So I was so proud of that.
Do you
and
have like good photos of this, or could we take some? I want to
We
make
can
sure.
take some. We can take some. Yeah.
I want to make sure I like post some close ups so when they're watching the YouTube they can see it.
Absolutely. Yeah. But that pair was like the first pair I did of customs that was like, man, like people like this. Like I'm not the only one that thinks that I'm good. Like I'm making what I want to make and people think it's really good.
So you think this was your first? You said this was your first like stamp of approval from like something, a bigger entity.
Absolutely, bro.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So, and then I just got really fucking lazy for like 3 years, and I was like, well, I'd rather play video games and like drink in college than like do customs. But
Where did you go to college again?
Washington, Jefferson.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And then so whenever I came back, this was not that long ago actually. This is about a year ago. This is my first original pair.
Yeah, those caught my eye the other day.
Yeah. Dude, and it's wild. So like looking at these, do you see like anything of my style in them? I'm so curious.
Well, let me see it. Mm-hmm. Initially, no. If someone were to show me these and say who made these, never would say you.
Yeah, that's very fair.
But this color theme, this like whole color palette on the background here is very you with like these like almost industrial colors on the swoosh. The swoosh.
Thank you.
But yeah, other than that, I wouldn't. Maybe the contrasting of like a pop of color on the mute like color scheme in the back.
No, you nailed it.
Is that it?
You nailed it. Like, it's so cool to hear you say that. Like, really, really cool. Because this is the first pair I did.
Got it. Hey, did you hear that?
That was dude, actually big props. Like, this is the first pair I did where I was trying to find an original style. And it's fascinating because like I always preach to people that like you when you're first trying to find an original style, you have to take what you like and try to incorporate it in a unique way. Mm-hmm. So like I give credit, this entire shoe essentially is the same style in my own way of James Jean, who's a fine artist. And because I knew I couldn't stop looking at James Jean stuff without feeling like amazed. I just thought it was the most incredible thing in the world. And so whenever I started to do my own style, I was like, let's try that and start there and see what we like. So this piece was based off of my home, like where I lived. Is called Lake Watonka in Mercer, PA. And it has a lot of different like symbolism for my friends and family and some of the stuff we used to do like fishing. Mm-hmm. And but it was a very personal pair, but it was my first attempt at a style and I loved it. Like I hated the process. I hated it so much. It was so much line work. It was so much detail.
There's so much detail in that.
Yeah, it was a miserable process, but like the actual piece itself I liked. Yeah. So that's fascinating hearing you say that it's like the contrast and the colors, because this is the last shoe I brought where it's called Commute, right?
Yeah.
And so this was the first shoe that I can genuinely say both conceptually and aesthetically and experimentally, just with like the different finishes and colors and whatnot that I did.
Some words, bro.
Yeah, all three of them. Yeah,
Did
dude.
you say athletic aesthetic?
I did actually. Yeah, it was the athletic aesthetic, and the concept. That I think I nailed it, and I
think you did too, bro.
Thank you, and this shoe means the world to me. Like,
I think this might have been even one of the first ones I saw on your page, and when I saw it in person the other day, I was blown away by these details on the inside.
Really?
Yeah, there's just something about like a light. Like a painted light that has that airbrush glow.
Yeah.
That I just am a sucker for. Like,
oh, I get it.
Like
dude.
even in the like recent line that I did with like the Steelers stuff, like doing the stadium lights in the background, and it's that hazy like glow. I love that, and the fact that you incorporated that on such a small scale here on this like porch.
Yeah.
Is that what this is? A porch, right?
No, I mean it's.
What is
I mean
this?
it's abstract, right? So like I know what I based it off of, which I'm happy to share. But like I'm always curious, like now that you look at it, what do you see?
Dude, I see a house. Like I see a nighttime scene.
Oh. Okay. Oh,
Like I'm
I
outside
see.
of a house, and that's a window, and that's like the banister of a porch, and that's like the lights on the roof of the porch.
Wait.
Do you see it? And this is like the stair.
I totally see what you're
the
saying.
handrail.
Bro.
This whole time I thought this was a house.
totally see
This looks. That's why I said like these need to be like Kanye's new like album cover, like with his like stuff he's been doing, because I get that whole vibe from that shoe.
Let's show the audience.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna take some good photos too, so we can put it over when I post
different
producing,
cameras.
I'll put it on for you guys. If you're just listening, you got to go to Bald Boy on Instagram. It's Bald Boy, right?
Yeah, it's
But
Bald
yeah,
Boy.
You got to see these pictures, and I'll, like I said, if you got the, oh great, look at this guy coming in.
What's good, Cody?
What's up,
I
bro?
actually didn't see you in that seat, so I didn't think that you were shooting. I thought you were taking like a picture. That's why I didn't even know.
Oh, good. Come on in, bro. I know.
Yeah, you want to see him? We got to get another.
I do. Can I look?
Yeah, absolutely, dude.
Yeah. So for those, I don't know if you're in the shot, but if you're watching or listening, the one and only Cody Sable.
I'm definitely in it.
Is that even still rolling?
It is.
It is. Really.
Checking.
Yeah.
That's good.
Surprising.
So sick.
You like it,
That's
dude?
dope. What do you see?
Yes, yeah.
I see a subway, or like a like it's obviously like
You picking him up at all?
like the walls are silhouetted and the windows are like you can see in these windows. Is that?
So I saw a front porch.
Yeah. Well, that's
Yeah,
Hey,
well, that's
one of the
stupid.
coolest moments.
this is so sick.
Thank you, dude.
One
I
of-
appreciate it.
I did. Oh yeah, guys. There's a note up here that says, "Hey, good luck on the pod. Try being interesting," and it says signed by Cody Sable, which yeah.
But yeah, this was the last pair of the journey that I brought, because this is the
Yeah.
pair that definitely brought me to like where I'd say I am now,
Yeah.
like what most people are familiar with.
Right.
Yeah.
Were you nervous the first time you started like distressing a shoe? Were you like, I don't.
It was a decision beforehand to say like no matter where this goes, like I'm okay with it. That was pretty much it. I was nervous that like I wouldn't like it. I wasn't nervous that I would like ruin it, if that makes sense, you know?
So I want to show you a pair that I brought.
Yes,
Okay.
please do, bro.
So
I'm so excited.
this is officially the first pair of shoes that I ever customized.
Uh-huh.
Now, what it looks like right now is not what it looked like when I customized them.
Oh god, okay.
So, before I open it, a little backstory, and I think I got into this. If you guys are listening and you listened to the intro, forgive me for like repeating a story, but I didn't get into like major details with it, and I'm not going to get into massive here. But basically, I had started working. It was college. I was working in Finish Line. This was like the very beginning of like Instagram customization, all this stuff. There was a local dude, shout out, his name's Hippie Neil, and he worked with Refresh Pittsburgh. All this stuff. No, this isn't the collab that I showed.
Oh,
No,
okay.
it's not
I was
the
like,
collab. Me and Neil collabed on a pair of Air Forces back then for an event, and I think someone bought those actually. So
Oh,
I'm not sure
sick.
where they are. This was like I reached out to him. He was like the first person that like. First of all, he was local, so that was amazing. He actually invited me to his house. I forget where it was. somewhere in Pittsburgh. I drove there. We sat there. We painted, for hours, and we didn't even talk really. Like, he's kind of a quiet dude, and we just like watched movies and painted shoes. And he was the first person to teach me how to use an airbrush, and like so he and he didn't want anything. He just was like, yeah, just come on over and hang out. So it was really cool of him. Maybe I should get him on the podcast some point. He's like really influential in me starting.
Oh yeah, dude.
And I know he's still local.
It sounds like he was influential in the community too.
Well, he was. So he actually exploded and was working with like Wale and like rappers, and he did a bunch of stuff for some of the Steelers at the time, and like he was doing some really like he went viral on Instagram first before I even saw like Dylan or Mosh or any of those. He was the first person I saw customizing, and I was like, he's in Pittsburgh. It's crazy. So connected with him, learned from him, and then I was like, all right, I think I'm gonna try a pair. So this was actually before we met up at his house. He was like just giving me feedback, and we were like talking like that,
right?
And I was like, all right, I'm gonna try a pair. So like I said, I worked at Finish Line. I got like all the release shoes at the time. Like I basically just turned my paycheck back into Finish Line when I worked there. And,
that sounds about right.
So this has significance not only in the customization. This is my first pair of retros I ever bought.
Damn.
They're Fire Red 4s.
Beautiful. Oh my.
I wore them, beat the hell out of them.
Yeah.
Because I like wear all my shoes. I have one pair of shoes that are still in the box, and it's like the Gift of Flight box that was like a pair of baby blue Pantone blue 11s.
Oh,
and like a Air Jordan 29 or something like that pack.
Wow. Okay, I know exactly what you're talking
But yeah,
about.
I love that colorway, and I'm waiting for I don't know what I'm going to wear them for, but that's the only pair I've never worn. I have probably like 50 pair of Jordans.
Dude.
So
okay.
I wear all my shoes.
Right.
And I wore these. I actually got to the point where I had them kind of beaten and broken in so much that I actually wore them to like a pickup basketball game.
Damn, holy shit, bro. You're stunting on people then.
Like just wearing them. Well,
yeah.
I like scuffed them all up playing. I was like, all right, I'll just use these to like try to like customize. And so like I said, this was at the very beginning, like before I even started working with Neil and before he started giving me like tips on airbrush. So I used, like you said, just regular acrylic paint from Michael's, painted them, and I did the same thing where it was a concept idea, so I painted one shoe. Okay. And I was like, let me just take this to Finish Line. I'm gonna put it on the shelf, and I'm gonna see like what people react.
You put it on the shelf?
Yeah.
You're
So
a fucking animal,
literally put
bro.
it on the shelf. People were walking in going, what is this? Like,
That's
so
actually genius. What the hell?
I painted it definitely probably get fired, but like,
I mean, but that's
you
like
know.
that's like the customizing like version of graffitiing. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
yeah,
It's
yeah.
like you take your shoes and say, "Fuck it, these are going on that fucking shelf."
yeah,
You know?
so many people came in and they were like, what is this? Because it was like before a lot of them even knew about custom shoes.
That's
so
sick.
they were like, anyways, I did like this Cookie Monster theme. I didn't even mean to do a Cookie Monster theme. I just had like blue colors, and I did this like tan and blue, and put like, I tried to do like almost a beach theme, but like it turned into like, it looked like chocolate chip cookie dough because I didn't know how to like throw paint. I just wanted like a splatter effect.
I can't, dude. You got to break these out. I have to see this.
Here's why I'm setting this up.
Okay.
They don't look like that now.
Okay.
I did the one pair, like the one side. It got a ton of like likes and whatever. I took photos of it. Sneaker Files. You familiar with Sneaker Files?
Of course, yeah.
They at the time wrote an article on them. There's a
That's sick.
full feature. If you go to Sneaker Files and type in Cookie Monster, this shoe comes up.
Wow.
Well, at the time, I don't know where it got out or how it got out. If you also search like Vincent Candelore Cookie Monster shoes, you can find a ton of knockoff Jordan sites from like other countries that mass produced that design on a pair of fake Jordans.
That's insane.
And
dude.
so I got mad, and I was like, I didn't even customize the second one, and I was like, screw this. Like, I don't even want this design anymore because like it, like the fact that people started mass producing it like made me mad, and I hated the design after I like started looking at it.
Yeah.
So I didn't know at the time about like acetone and how to like remove paint. So I literally took a like industrial sander to these things, which frayed all of the like
the stitching.
And
yeah.
so it's kind of falling apart in some areas. Can't wear them probably now, but I sanded them down. Even like the midsoles, dude. There's like grooves out of the midsoles.
I love that, dude.
But then I like sprayed it with green and gold, and then there's like Angela's glitter light paint on the midsoles.
Oh
'cause
my
I didn't
God.
know what I was doing.
Wait, what kind of glitter lights? Like,
Gold.
oh, it's gold. Oh, okay.
So this is what they are now.
Okay, let me see this. Oh my fucking God, I'm so excited. Dude, when you're saying like fraying and using industrial sander, like that's legit part of my regular
I know.
process. And so I'm like,
So I was like, he's gonna appreciate.
yeah, you're
this.
saying it like it's a bad thing, and I'm like, I am so pumped. Wait, these are fire, dude. Wait a second. Please look at these. What the fuck?
But yeah, Fire Red Force. So
Dude, wait, these just remind me of like a bronze sculpture. Like when I'm holding them and looking at them, they don't even feel like shoes anymore.
dude, that's because there's about 7 pounds of paint. Some of it is just acrylic.
This is actually nuts, dude. Wait a second. Oh, I totally see what you're saying too. Like, oh, like I don't know if it gets picked up in the camera, but I can feel with the finger too, like
Yeah.
the grooves on the midsole here.
Yeah.
Dude, I love these though. Like these are sick. Oh, the gold aglets too on the laces.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
I forget where I got those from. Those were like,
Oh my god.
forget who made them back then.
Oh my god. I like don't want to touch them too much because I can tell that like parts of them
They're
the
just gonna
paint-
crumble.
Yeah, exactly. yeah. That's
Yeah.
wild.
So
though,
that's the
dude.
first pair right there. This used to be the Cookie Monster 4, which is crazy because now that people are like, you could literally still buy that design on like, you know, fake Jordan sites.
That's nuts.
Yeah,
That
I wanna
shoe doesn't-
interrupt real quick.
Yeah.
I found the sneakers file article.
Oh, you did?
I do
Yes.
want to show everybody the Photoshop that you did with Cookie Monsters. We'll put that in the
What was the Instagram? I can, if you want to screenshot it, I can
Like pull it up in a picture.
Yeah, I'll pull it up.
Shit was
Oh
going
my
crazy.
god, bro. Oh my god.
Oh man, I was like, damn.
It was a different era, dude.
Yeah, for sure. Oh,
Yeah.
That's
Vinstagram underscore
nuts.
412.
Hey.
Oh my fucking god.
Yeah.
All right, sorry.
So we
Wow.
all have our origin story. They're
So-
all a little different.
So like what so how did you go from that to doing this now? Like like
I don't know.
you
I
just kind of happen?
I've always done shoes. I've always
Mm-hmm.
like made a way. Like I've had every job you could possibly imagine from point A to point B, from college through college to now. And
Mm.
when I say that, like I mean like every aspect of like work, from blue collar to like, you know, corporate jobs to serving jobs to a lifeguard to like to OnlyFans. Yeah.
Currently OnlyFans.
Yeah, currently. But but I've always had some sort of station wherever I lived that was dedicated to like art. And whether I had orders at the time or if I was just throwing paint on my own shoes like this pair that I told you about, just testing things, I always like stayed, you know, creative.
Right.
And then, you know, like I told you when in 2020, it was actually 2018 when I merged my pages together. Like you saw on that post, it was Vinstagram 412. Then I was Candelore, yeah. Then I was Candelore Customs. Then it was Uni Edits, and now I'm VC2 Art. Like all of that, there's so much that has like taken place to get to like VC2 Art.
Right.
And that's why like in the stuff, you know, we mentioned earlier where, yeah, it's like a more simple process or like product that I put out, but there's so much backstory on like why I enjoy to do like, you know, a pair of shoes that just has like a team logo. Like there's
Yeah.
so much personal history for me with like sports and like with the Uni Edits side of it. So like concept uniforms, all that is what really built my platform. So doing shoes that have subtle like hints to like teams uniforms and like logos and the way that they're like I love taking a shoe and communicating a team's uniform onto the shoe.
Yeah.
And like it might look like a basic design if you just look at it from the first time, but for me I love that. And like the whole athletic aesthetic of sports, like I try to like put that into my designs. So that's what's got me to where I am. I don't know where I'm necessarily going, but we're just like we had like a really good conversation when we left the other day
Yeah.
in the car, just talking about like just because you asked me, you said, what's your goal with this?
Yeah, like you communicated that this was not like, even though the level of success you're seeing now is more than you've ever had before, it's not like what's in your mind as your level of success. And then I was like, okay, well, what is that? Like where do you want to go? Yeah.
And I think that the real answer is that I just don't know. And I framed it in the sense of like, like the whole like AA thing where they tell you like, if someone's recovering from an addiction, it's like take the next right decision, make the next right decision.
That, dude.
And that's kind of like, I think as a creative, how you have to be a little bit, you have to just say like, I don't know necessarily where this is going to take me, but I'm just going to do the next right thing. I'm going to put in the work on this project. I'm going to pay attention to the detail on this project that I think nobody's going to see, because it's going to grow me, and I'm going to learn, and I'm going to do these things. And then, eventually with what we do, you kind of just arrive, and then you're like, wow, like it's
like,
almost,
this is it. Yeah.
It's almost like when you find that, it's like your style isn't about like finding your style. It's about like the process, and the process kind of like creates your style. And it's like, if you just want to set out, like, it's like you said, all right, I'm going to make my style, and you made that shoe that you're like, this isn't even my style now.
Yeah,
but
right.
the process of making that is what ended up finally making your style.
Yeah.
So if you would have never made that shoe and said, I'm going to make my style, you may not be where you're at right now.
Facts.
So it's crazy, like how the process of growing as an artist is different for everyone.
Yeah. And I want to relate that back to our previous conversation too, because like that was one of the things I realized not long ago, was like I always preach that my style, like, to me, the beauty of it and why I love it so much and appreciate it is because it's all like, the beauty is in the ubiquity, right? Like, it's about people. So like, whenever I see the shoes I'm doing, the concepts are very relatable. Like, I'm sure, like, to an extent, the fine art world kind of would see them as like almost cliche in a way, because like a lot of it relates back to how people interact on a daily basis. Like the idea of commute, this shoe was literally just the idea of like the way that people see a 9 to 5 in a regular job. Some people see it as like a source of stability and allowing them to do everything they want to do in the world, and some people see it as the only thing stopping them from doing everything they want to do in the world. So that was the idea behind it, where this was like the blue collar kind of idea behind it, of saying, I just want a 9 to 5, I want the stability, and then this side is the creative side. And that's why I say I think it was a very successful piece in that way. But like, talking to you and talking to Dylan and talking to just everybody in the community, I realized that like there's no reason for me to hate on people doing what you do, because like I said, it's such an incredible way of getting people to relate in customs. Yeah. You immediately bring a community together whenever you put a Steelers shoe together.
Yeah.
Like when people see customs going to like Ben Roethlisberger or like all these players, like it immediately relates an entire community of people that would have never related in that way.
Right.
And that's so fucking beautiful.
And
right?
That's the thing about Pittsburgh too. Like, it's such a sports crazy town that if you aren't somewhat I kind of sense that I'm more of a bridge and a connector for the two communities, and that's why I wanted to start this. So like, this podcast is bridging together the sports community with the art world, because I've always found myself, and that's why like me and Cody became such good friends, truly, is because, which I think we're friends.
I knew that's why I was looking at Cody. I was like, he's thinking some shit right now.
Just shook his head. Is because we realized like there's a rare connection for people that are into sports and art.
Yeah.
And I know you have a background in sports too.
Yeah.
With soccer, right?
Soccer, hockey, and basketball. Yeah.
And like for me, when it was, I had sports friends and I had art friends, and so like I want to merge them together, because I think there's so much that the people in Pittsburgh that just are typical Yinzers, live for Sundays. They might not even realize like that goes into creating that production of like the game that they watch, or going to the stadium, or like the aesthetic of it. And then the people in the art world that don't even realize how much opportunity is there with those. If we bring that crowd into what the creatives are doing in this city, it could really transform not just Pittsburgh, but there's several other cities that are blue collar heavy, and
right.
you know, like we both come from blue collar families, so you know it, like it's like your shoe. Like I'm trying to in real life like convey the message on your shoe of like combining that blue collar with the, you know, creative, innovative.
You have like that's I mean that's part of the reason like why I'm here and like why I have such a deep appreciation for you and Cody, because like I remember Cody and I talk all the time. Yeah, leave him out of it. Yeah. No, like Cody and I were talking about like Andy Warhol, and like, you know, to
Who's
me, just some nobody. Yeah. And like, you know, I think the beauty about Andy, like I said, is like in the ubiquity of his art, like finding, you know, the little intricacies and beauties behind like very mundane things and making money off of that, right? And like, to me, I didn't realize it till recently, but like it's the same reason I wanted to do that collaboration with Jake Polino, and the same
which
reason
turned out amazing.
Thank you. But it's also the same reason that like I love entertaining this kind of thing of like working with you and like coming on here at the podcast, is because you guys offer something that is so hard to achieve from like a fine art perspective, because art is so unrelatable in like most people's eyes. Like inherently, you have such a specific concept most of the time, or it's too general that like people either can't relate to it, or they like very specific people can relate to it, you know? And I think that's the beauty behind it, is like there's so many people that can relate to what you're doing and may not appreciate the art side of things, but when they come together, they haven't seen it. You know what I'm saying? How can you possibly know if you haven't seen it?
Very true.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. This was great, bro. I think that, you know, we're going to have you back on, because I think we're just kind of scratching the surface with like all the things that we're going to be doing, and like just the conversations that we have. I think they can, you know, we've even gotten like crazy deep, just like getting to know each other with like some of like our personal life stories and all this stuff. So as we, you know, grow as artists and whatever, as this podcast hopefully continues to grow and whatever, I'd love to have you back on. At the end, I usually just, you know, let you have a second to like plug whatever projects you're working on, how people can contact you.
Yeah.
Whatever you want to say to the person listening right now.
Let's do it, baby.
Yeah.
So you guys can find me on It's Bald Boy on Instagram, first of all. Second of all, I have a couple of pieces up right now, one of which is going, 100% of the revenue is going towards mental health awareness. And that was the piece that I did with a guy named Jake Polino, which I think his name is just at Jake Polino on Instagram as well. But yeah, please go check that out. If you haven't seen my work before, I think that there will be a lot of people that appreciate it and like seeing it. But other than that, like, thank you for having me on, bro.
Yeah.
Like, I would love to come back again, because like I got all sorts of stuff racing. We could chat for hours.
Yeah,
so,
for sure.
Yeah, thank you.
Appreciate you, bro.
Yeah, for sure.
I needed more coffee, and I actually have to pee now.
I fucking have to pee so bad, bro. Holy shit.
All right, well, thank you guys for being here. Thanks for listening to the podcast. Again, if you're listening, please remember to like, share, subscribe, rate, review, whatever platform you're on. Engage with the content with this podcast episode in whatever way makes sense to you. It really helps us continue to grow this thing. So I look forward to coming back next month with episode 4 and a new guest that I'm really excited about as well. So stay tuned for that. Follow on social media at VC2Art. And that's on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, all the social medias at VC2Art, and my guest at It's Bald Boy. So appreciate you guys being here. Look forward to talking to you soon. I still don't have a sign out. We'll see you later. Bye. Adios. Sayonara. Signing out. Deuces. I don't know.